I think it's recording. So, hello everyone. My name is Suraj Jaiswal and welcome to the first tutorial of the course entitled Simulation Laboratory. In this course, we will have to carry out a simulation work which is entitled Design of Control Algorithm for Hydraulically Driven Crane. So, as the name suggests, there are number of elements that we will have to figure out in this tutorial or in this simulation work, and as you can see on the animation, this is what we will be uh, modeling at the end of this course. So this has to be done individually by all of you. uh, Over here in this video I will give you some instructions in order to carry out this simulation work. So basically in today's video I will be focusing mainly on the uh, modeling of mechanical structure. So before moving on to my presentation, let's see the list of content that I will be covering. So first of all, I will give you some installation instructions, particularly for SolidWorks, because it is one of the CAD software and we will be needing it. Then there is some golden rule of simulation work that you must follow, no matter now, later, at any stage of your career. You should always follow that. Then I will give you a brief introduction, and then I will explain you how you can carry out the modeling of mechanical structure, and then how you can carry out the modeling of the mechanism, which will be in Simscape Multibody, and then some reporting deadlines and evaluation. By the way, if you have not followed my previous tutorials from the course Simulation of a Mechatronic Machine, I would suggest you to please follow all my previous tutorials from the previous course, which is entitled Simulation of a Mechatronic Machine. You can find the playlist from my YouTube channel, so just go and first watch all of those videos, and then this course will be helpful because this is the advanced version of that particular course. So regarding installation, if you are a student at LUT University, then you can have the trial version of the SolidWorks license with you for 30 days. So basically you can have the home usage activation for the educational license, and there are some instructions in order to how you can do this installation. So please follow these links. I will provide you with the PDF in Moodle, whereas I have hidden this third point because if you're following this tutorial on YouTube, there are some licenses and user ID which is, I think, particularly specific for the student from LUT University, so that should not be disclosed to people from outside the organization. But in the PDF which I will make you available in Moodle, you can have those serial number and user ID there. And if in case you don't have use SolidWorks, please deactivate your license, because then others can use your license. Okay, so the first golden rule of simulation work is understand what you are doing because before implementing anything, because if you do not understand what you are doing, you will end up in a mess at the end of the course, and I am sure that you would not like to end up in a mess. So take baby steps, but take one at a time, and try to understand first everything and then execute it, even at the equation level or even at the modeling level. So that is very crucial, and it's applicable for any time. So even right now when I do any modeling, I follow the same golden rule. So let's get started with what do we have to model in this simulation work. So as you can see the simulation model to your right, we need to design a control algorithm for a hydraulically driven crane. So as you can see, there is this lift arm which is supported by a pillar, and then there is hydraulic cylinder piston which is actually actuating this lift arm. And we know for the fact that this is hydraulically driven. Other ways of actuating it can be electrical systems or can be pneumatic actuators, but in this study or in this course we will be focusing mainly on the hydraulic actuation. And this is exactly the system that we want to model. So this is the real system that we would like to model it. So this real system is available at the Laboratory of Machine Design. Uh, Earlier in this course, we used to invite students to take measurements from the real system and then compare the the measurement from the real system with the measurement from the simulation model. But since due to the pandemic we are not able to do that anymore. However, I will make the data from different kind of sensors available to you from this measurement setup. So at later stage of point you can compare your simulation model with a real system. So that is something I believe this is the most interesting part of this course, because so far what you have done in the previous course is mainly focusing on theoretical examples, but here there is a practical example, and you can clearly see whatever you have learned so far is applicable for practical examples as well. So in order to model this system, what are the requirements? So if I see the figure carefully, I can see that there is a mechanical structure. As I already told you, this is lift arm, pillar, then the hydraulic cylinder, sorry, not hydraulic but the physical cylinder and the piston. So these are all the mechanical components that we will have to model at first, correct? Because that would be the first step. Then the second step would be to model the hydraulic actuators. So basically this uh, we will put a hydraulic actuator in between the cylinder piston, as we have done in the earlier course. And then we will model flexibility in the structure, particularly in this lift arm, because in reality systems are not rigid, they are flexible. And this lift arm is it's very long actually. If you see from the figure here, it is actually very long. So in general there will be flexibility in this lift arm. About flexibility in the other parts of the system, we will not consider them, because if you see for example the pillar, it is not moving at all. So it's not very crucial at this point of time. Then at the fourth stage we will be modeling a control system with the help of which we can lift this lift arm upward and then lower it down, and then at the end we can compare the result with respect to the measurements from the real system. So this is the overall project that we have to do in this semester. However, in this tutorial I am focusing particularly on modeling of mechanical structure. So as you can see, the mechanical components here, they are quite advanced. They have quite advanced geometry as compared to the simple geometries that we have been using so far in Simscape Multibody, correct? So who is going to model this advanced uh, components? It's you who are going to do this uh, modeling process. So we will be needing a CAD, any CAD software such as SolidWorks, in order to model this CAD files. Then once we have all the CAD files for all the components available, then we can simply model our mechanism using Simscape Multibody. And if you follow the previous course, sorry, I'm again and again reiterating on the fact that you have to follow the previous course and then you can follow this course, is because it is very crucial. There are simple examples in all the previous tutorials from the last course, because once you do that, then this modeling the mechanism in Simscape Multibody will be very easy. So for modeling of mechanical structure, two softwares are required: SolidWorks and Simscape Multibody. So An overview of the by the way, if you don't see anything, because I might block it, so just I will try to be very careful with it. So far I think it's good. Yes, so about modeling of mechanical structure, so when we will model all these mechanical components in CAD software, we normally model it as a rigid bodies, and then we will export those rigid bodies, and we will use it in the Simscape Multibody to carry out our modeling process. So we will make all the components as rigid bodies. So this is point number one. Then point number two is the dimensions of all these mechanical components are available to you in the subsequent slides. So we will just go through them in brief. Then at this point of time, so you see this, there is a cylinder and the piston here, this red and the green block. Do not model any CAD component for this cylinder piston. Reason being, it's at the end of the day it's just a cylindrical body, and those geometries are already available in Simscape Multibody, right? So you don't need to model that in any CAD software. What you need to model is you need to model this pillar, you need to model this lift arm, and at the end there will be an additional mass which will be attached to this lift arm. Then there is, you have to be very careful with the following things that I'm going to say is these joints. So joint 1, then there is joint 2 which is connecting the pillar with the lift arm, and then there is joint 3. So the cylinder piston is between joint 1 and joint 3. Special care needs to be taken in order to be very careful about this joint location. Then what are the other things that needs to be taken care of is origin of all your components. So whenever you model anything in SolidWorks, you need to be very careful before exporting that where is the origin of your body, because if you mess up with the coordinate system there, you might not end up having the correct alignment for all the bodies here. And why do we need you to model this advanced geometries is because we need to have the correct estimation of mass and inertia properties. So if you see here, actually you cannot see here, but in the later slides you can see this lift arm is a hollow cylinder with some thickness here, as well not cylinder, sorry, a hollow rectangular structure, as well as the pillar is also a hollow rectangular structure. So obviously their mass and inertia properties will differ. About the joint location, if the lift arm is in the horizontal position like in this slide, so this is pillar, this is lift arm. When the lift arm is in the horizontal position, then the location of the joints 1, 2 and 3 are given here. You need to be very careful with these joint locations, as well as the location of the end of the lift arm. So basically this point here will be this. Note that the entire structure has 1 degree of freedom. Okay, so do not model something which has more than one degree of freedom. Reason being, see this lift arm can move only in the upward or the downward direction, right? I mean, about this joint 2 it can rotate. Accordingly the cylinder piston will have its movement, whereas the pillar will be rigidly connected with the ground. So there is just 1 degree of freedom. Okay, so these are the drawings that that are available in these slides. Basically it says original dimension is because these are the original 2D CAD drawings that are made available. If you see, it's in Finnish, but I have tried to provide the interpreted version of these dimensions as much as possible. But however, if there are any discrepancies there, always follow the original 2D CAD drawings here. Try to translate these. If you're not able to translate, that's fine. The only reason I'm saying is because these are the material properties of all the different components, and these material properties will be important in order to define the mass and the inertia properties, because the mass is dependent on material, whereas the inertia is dependent on the geometry and the material. So now you understand why I'm saying that again and again. So modeling of mechanical structure. If you see uh, the pillar is actually modeled in such a way that there are additional parts that are modeled separately. Why it is done that is because it is very easy from the manufacturing point of view, that if we manufacture this lug 1 and lug 2 separately and then attached it with this pillar with some weld joint, then it's very simple from that point of view. So that's why when we will have to model pillar, then we need to also model this lug 1 and lug 2 separately, and then using assembly drawing in SolidWorks you can simply assemble it. So I will make all the 2D CAD drawings regarding these figures available, and as I told you, I have already made the interpreted version available. Basically both of them will be same. However, if there are any discrepancies, do follow the original 2D CAD drawings. Okay, so along with lug 2 there is also a bearing housing over here, which I will explain you when we will see this lug 2 modeling of this lug 2 part. By the way, this lug 1 and lug 2 can be connected to the pillar in two ways. First, as I told you already, that components can be assembled in SolidWorks and then you can export it, or alternatively you can export all of them as individual components, and then in Simscape Multibody you can use a weld joint to connect them. So both of them will not make any difference theoretically, but you may feel like trying both the alternative options and see what are the difference there. For the pillar, these joint locations are very important. So what are the joint locations that is crucial here is the joint location here, which will be in between these two holes for joint 1, and then there is joint location 2 along the cylindrical axis of this bearing housing. Now since the pillar is fixed to ground when we will model it in Simscape Multibody and is rigid, thus the mass and the inertia properties are not that crucial because it is not moving at the end of the day, right? However, my suggestion to you would be do try to model the mass, give the material properties so that you have the respective mass and inertia properties. So how you can give the mass and inertia properties, I will just explain you in the subsequent slides. So these are the original dimensions of the pillar. So there are two drawings with the help of which you can model the entire pillar, just this part, no lug 1 and lug 2. Okay, did I? So yes, you can see now. I'm so sorry, I'm not very used to with moving around so I'll try to see my other screen and see if I'm blocking anything. So this is the other dimension that you can all the data are available here, and this was the previous one. Yeah, so if you see here, there are some dimensions which are like they have changed it from 400 to 380, 500 to 470. actually it is your responsibility to figure out which one will be correct. However, when I was modeling this years ago, I tried to model it in such a way, so I made it 400 and 500. So this is the interpreted dimensions. Basically, when I modeled the system, this is how I modeled it a couple of years ago. So this is just for your reference. If you find this helpful, maybe you can have it. And if you provide similar kind of drawings in your reports, it would be very nice actually. I prefer that. So then coming to lug 1. So again, lug 1 can be modeled using the dimensions given in the 2D CAD drawing, which is in the next slide. And note that this same lug 1 will be used later, where so at this point of time lug 1 is connected to the pillar. The similar lug 1, if you rotate it, you can also attach it to the lift arm. So I will explain that later. So basically, if you model this once, you can use it twice just by rotating it properly in the assembly file of pillar and in the assembly file of lift arm, or we also call lift arm as boom. Do not pay much attention to the correct mass and inertia properties of lug 1, lug 2 and bearing housing. So basically lug 2 and bearing housing are in the next slides. Since they are very small components and they are rigidly fixed to the pillar or to the lift arm, and also they are small and they are rigidly they are made as rigid bodies and not moving in general, so their mass and inertia properties are not contributing so much compared to the rest of the systems. So if you want to skip, you can skip it. Yeah. Whereas my suggestion to you would be to keep practicing with the material properties and defining the correct mass, inertia, origin and center of mass. These are the things that you need to take care of it very carefully when you are modeling it in SolidWorks. So this is the 2D CAD drawing of lug 1. About the dimensions, where it is like cut and written something else, it's your responsibility to figure out which will be the right one. Also, if I were you, I would actually cross check, if possible I would cross check this with the dimensions from the other components. For example, the length of this lug 1 is 200 meter here. Okay, so when this lug 1 is connected to this pillar over here, if you see, the length will again this length should also be the same. So you can clearly see this length is also 200 millimeter. Okay, so this is one of the way to cross check. By the way, the unit in these 2D CAD drawings are in millimeter if it's not mentioned anywhere. So even in this figure it's millimeter in the interpreted dimensions as well. So this is something I forgot to mention in my slides, but make a note of it. So yes, about lug 2 and bearing housing. So basically lug 2 is this plate here, and bearing housing is this structure here. Again, from manufacturing or from designing point of view, it is a very good idea to model lug 2 and bearing housing as two separate components, and then later you can assemble lug 2 and bearing housing into one assembly file in SolidWorks before connecting this entire assembly to the pillar. Why we do like that? Because if you see from manufacturing point of view, manufacturing this bearing housing separately is a good idea, where you can simply use some kind of welding in order to connect this with the lug 2. So the combination looks like this as shown here. So again, this is what I drew a couple of years ago, and the units are in millimeter here, whereas the original 2D CAD drawing is this one, where you can see this lug. So this bearing housing is 2. So Laikeri Pesa. So basically this is Finnish word for bearing housing, and the material is iron 510. So you need to figure out what are the material properties for this particular what are the mass density, Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, all these properties for this material. Then this is the 2D CAD drawing for the bearing housing. Yes, and note all the dimensions are in millimeter. So now let's come to the modeling of the most important part of our mechanical structure, is the lift boom. In lift boom, it is very important to model everything very accurately, because in order to get the accurate mass and inertia properties. If you do not model things properly here, you will end up in a incorrect mass and inertia properties, and as a result of which your dynamic simulation will affect. So I will just move a bit so you can see what's written here. So anyways, so one can define the mass and inertia properties either in SolidWorks or in Simscape Multibody. So there are two ways to define these mass and inertia properties. If you are using Simscape Multibody, you can simply define these properties based on the geometry and the density, like the way we have been using it in our previous course. Whereas if you plan to do it in SolidWorks, then you need to have the idea of the material that is being used. So lift arm is manufactured using a steel material, and this is accurate enough for our purpose. So we know the steel material, and we can figure out what are the properties for this material, and we can input all the material properties, which I'll show you in SolidWorks in a while. But do cross check if both the softwares do they provide the same mass and inertia terms, or are there any differences, because I believe they may differ. So you need to figure out very carefully which is the correct value for your case. And in the report, explain how you have computed this mass and inertia terms, and do provide their values, because those are important. In modeling of lift arm, you cannot neglect this, because this part is later on we will model this lift arm as a flexible body, and in fact this is also moving, so you cannot neglect this modeling of these material properties here. Note that lift arm is made up of a hollow rectangular cross section, as I told you already. So it is sort of hollow, whose height is this height, whose height is 150 millimeter and width is 100 millimeter, and the wall thickness from inside is of all of the cross section is 4 millimeter. So the dimensions are available in the next slides, but do please pay special attention to the joint location, its geometrical detail, mass and inertial properties, because they are very critical. I'm repeating that again and again. And also in order to so yes, when you model this lift arm, you realize there is lug 1 also attached to this point. So it would be a good idea if you can, once you have modeled this part, you can simply assemble this lift arm with lug 1, and then you can export it in order to use it for Simscape Multibody. I hope it is visible. Yes, now at the end there is an additional mass here that needs to be modeled. because the lift arm is loaded with an additional mass when we take the measurements in our lab test. So for that reason we also make this additional mass, we model this. You do not have to model the uh, CAD file for this additional mass, because you can simply model this using the solid uh, block in Simscape Multibody, and there you can define it as a point mass. So do not model an additional mass in SolidWorks, either in the lift arm or separately as a file. Its location and weight of this additional mass will be provided to you in Moodle, where the uh, of position of this mass is measured from joint 2, which is in between these two holes somewhere here. So why I'm asking you to be very careful with the definition of the origin and the center of mass and and other parameters is because, see, if you follow the previous tutorials from the previous course, you realize whenever we were selecting any frame, so basically any point on the body, we were selecting the surface and then defining a point there, correct? Whereas in this case, you see, we have to model a point or the origin here, which is actually in space and not on any particular body, because this is along this the center of along this cylindrical axis, right? So for that reason, it is very important, if you have your origin here, and of course the center of mass needs to be somewhere here for this lift arm alone, forget about the additional mass. Then if you define your origin correctly, then when you export it and model the mechanism in Simscape Multibody, you can simply attach this part with the pillar, and that would be very simple. So for that reason, I'm asking you to take special care of it. Now this are the 2D CAD drawings for the lift arm. There are two of them, so yes. And I told you the material is steel material, so you can also follow these material properties here, and whatever you choose, so you have the liberty to choose here what material. I mean, I think this is iron, and I'm not sure if this steel material is that particular grade, but anyways, whatever you choose, you need to mention that in the report, and that is very important. If I'm not really sure if any details regarding this is provided, but if not, do not wait for anything from our end, because now you are doing this work independently and you need to make certain decisions. And also, if you want to model this additional mass, if you don't have its location and weight already available, assume some weight of the mass and some location here, because that will not affect, I mean, that is not that crucial. At later stage, when those data will be available to you, you can simply modify the parameter. So that's how I would go about it. Yes, so this is the interpreted version of this lift arm boom from these two files. Okay, and all the dimensions are in millimeter here. Yes, so coming to this part, that once you have created your components in the CAD software. By the way, you can use any CAD software, for example Creo, SolidWorks, Unigraphics, whatever you prefer. Once you have created them, it needs to be exported in a format which is suitable for Simscape Multibody, because we will be modeling everything in Simscape Multibody, right? So it is your responsibility to compare the possible file formats between your CAD software, for example, let's say SolidWorks, and the Simscape Multibody, and you need to pick one. So I was just quickly checking what are the formats that might be suitable. For example, the solid work part file .sat .stl format. These are possible, but there are multiple possible solutions available. You can follow this link and you can figure it out yourself. Okay. Now then, note that when you export your CAD model, it is possible to add a new coordinate system or specify origin for the connection node before exporting the geometry in SolidWorks. So as I have been telling you already that you need to define the origin very carefully. This part needs to be explored by you. There are a lot of material available online, so you can simply type how you can modify the origin in SolidWorks and you can figure it out easily. And then when you are exporting, be very careful about the correct units, because you might end up using a different unit in your Simscape Multibody. So make sure you are consistent with the units everywhere. Okay, so let me show you if I have my SolidWorks already. Yeah. So if you have no idea about SolidWorks and if this is your first time, do not worry. If you go to so I have very old version. It doesn't matter which version of SolidWorks we are using. If you go to help SolidWorks tutorial, there are some really cool tutorials available. For example, getting started and suppose lesson part 1. So if you want to model something like this, there is step-by-step guidance about what needs to be done. Do follow these tutorials if you have no idea about SolidWorks. It is very easy, and I think within a day you will be able to start modeling your own components. So the overall idea is, suppose if you want to model this, all you need to do, there are 3 planes. So basically in SolidWorks there is this horizontal, vertical and a plane coming in this direction. So you need to select a plane, you need to draw your, for example, your sketch. You need to constrain the dimensions of your sketch so that the dimensions do not change. Then once you have done your sketch and provided the correct dimensions, you can simply extrude it, so basically providing some depth. And once you do that, your surface is kind of ready. And now if you want to have any additional cylindrical surface on the top, again you can select this surface of this rectangular block, and then you can do a sketch of a circle there and then extrude. So exactly that's, yeah, so exactly that's what they have done. So you see, extrude, and this surface is ready. And if you want to have a hole in this surface which will be through hole, then you can simply select, so if you want something like this, you can simply select this top surface of the cylindrical feature, have a radius which is less than the cylindrical feature, and then if you once you draw the sketch, constrain your dimensions, and you say you want to have a through hole, and this is what you can end up with. And you can have chamfer and other parameters there. So this is very simple, do not worry about it. Yes, so once I already have, so this one, so I already have some file available here which was modeled just, I mean, this is not you need to model, it is just an example. Okay, so suppose this is a part, this is a mechanical component, and we would like to use this in our Simscape Multibody. So how we can do that? Before exporting, you need to see very carefully the material. So for example, you can add material from here. There are other options too. What happened? It is taking time. Yeah, so there are some ready-made materials already available. So you can see elastic modulus, Poisson's ratio, shear modulus, mass density, yield strength, and all these data are available. If you remember carefully, whenever we used to model anything in Simscape Multibody, we always used to give the density as 7,800 kilogram per meter cube, so, which is quite close. So you can choose the material as you like, and be very careful with the unit. The unit needs to be same as what you use in your Simscape Multibody. So basically everything is in meter there, forces are in Newton, and the pressures are in Pascal, right? So this SI unit. If you want to model your ready-made, I mean custom-made material properties, you can use these table curves and other you can just explore here. So that's your responsibility. Then if you see this origin, okay, if you see this origin, it is somewhere over here, correct? This is my origin at the moment, this point. And this is obviously incorrect, because if suppose this part needs to be connected over here with the other body, let's say if joint 2 were suppose here, it would be good idea if the origin was already here, then I can connect it with the other part in Simscape Multibody. I will show you how this might cause problem, because it's a good idea if you define your origin carefully. You need to explore further about that. And then in order to export, you can simply go to File, Save As, and then you can save as uh, for example this SolidWorks part file, or sat.sat or .stl, or there are many other options. You need to see which other options are which is suitable for Simscape Multibody, and the link that I provided in my slide, you can find it there. So you can then save it. Let's close this. So this link basically, it's opening. So this this description you can read, and it is written what are the files that is supported by Simscape Multibody. So read about them if you plan to use any other CAD software. Yes, so once you have exported your SolidWorks file, now it's time for you to import your modeled component into Simscape Multibody. How you can do that? You can do that using the file solid block in Simscape Multibody. By the way, it is imported as rigid bodies, and no flexibility is modeled yet. Okay, so we will import everything as rigid bodies in Simscape Multibody, even the lift arm or the boom. So how you can find the solid block? I have my MATLAB already open, I think. Yes, so let's type sm new, so Simscape Multibody new file. If you have not followed my previous tutorial, please go and follow them. I have already showed you about the basics of Simscape Multibody there. Yes, so by default there are some blocks available. Again, it is just I like to model everything such that my negative y direction is where my gravity is acting. So x is horizontal, y is vertical, and z is coming out of the plane. Then I would like to model the gravity in the negative y direction. At the moment it's in the negative z direction, so it's always a good idea to change this in the negative y direction. For details, follow the tutorials from the course entitled Simulation of a Mechatronic Machine. But just to give you a brief idea how you can import your CAD file here. So go to library browser, then you need to go to, let's say you need to go to Simscape here. Then in Simscape, go to Multibody from this drop down. Then in Multibody, go to Body Elements. So this Body Elements, you don't need to go to the drop down, just Body Elements. And there is this File Solid block. So File Solid, correct? If you double click this, and over here the description you can read. So in the geometry you need to specify a file name. Let's say this is what we showed you first part, and I imported that here. The unit type, do I need to mention it from the file or from the custom? If I have done everything accurately, then from file is fine. Then since I already defined some inertia properties there, so it's fine for me. I mean, the material properties I gave it in SolidWorks for that part. So you can see the inertia type is, it's calculated from geometry because your geometry is complicated, so that is the option that you should choose. And based on density from the file, you can also have custom density and custom mass here, but that's why I'm repetitively asking you to model everything in SolidWorks accurately, so that the density from the file can be chosen. And once you update it, you see already the some density will be provided, some mass. Then if you see carefully, just a minute, if you see carefully, the center of mass is also provided, and this moment of inertia, product of inertia, these are the parameters that's very crucial for your dynamic simulation. So that's why I'm reiterating again: your origin, your center of mass, your other material property needs to be defined accurately, even the geometry, because mass moment of inertia is dependent on your geometry as well. So once you use this F5, you can update the visualization, as you can see here. See, this is X, Y, and Z, and you remember where was our origin? Just a minute. So this is the isometric view, and this is origin, correct? So you see our origin was defined somewhere there, correct? And if you see by like pressing the middle mouse button, and if you just drag, you can see the center of mass is somewhere in the middle, which is correctly defined with respect to this origin, as you can see in the center of mass here. So that's why I'm saying your origin needs to be defined very carefully, because these are kind of a ready-made frame already available here. But of course you can, with respect to this frame, you can define other points here as you like, but that is just making your life difficult. In the graphics, so basically from the geometry, and either you can define your color here, or you can simply say from file. So whatever color you provide or visualization type you provide in SolidWorks, you can simply update. So you remember it was blue in color over there, so the same file is here. And of course the frame is the 1R, which is kind of the origin here, and you can define new frames with respect to this one, or with respect to any particular sides of the body. But again, reiterating the same thing, that your origin of this particular body needs to be carefully defined based on your understanding about how you want to model all the different components with respect to each other, right? So that's from the Simscape Multibody. You have this solid file solid as a rigid body. It is as good as any other solid block like this. And then if you follow my follow the previous tutorial from the course simulation of a mechatronic machine, you will be easily able to model this simple mechanism. Again, I think it's a 4-bar mechanism because there are overall 4 bodies involved, which is just one pillar, 5 bodies involved, but the 4-bar mechanism still holds. Is we have a pillar, we have a lift arm, then we have a cylinder, and we have a piston. About cylinder piston, you can model it using rigid solid block elements in Simscape. Follow this tutorials from the previous course. But yes, in this file solid block, as I already showed you, just check the mass and inertia properties carefully and note their units carefully. So that is very crucial. So about this link, you can follow, actually it's on my YouTube channel only. So I have made a separate playlist where it says simulation of a mechatronic machine, and all the previous tutorials are here, starting from tutorial 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So if you follow mainly tutorial 5 or 6 and 7, you will be able to model the mechanism, whereas it's a good idea to watch the others as well if you have forgotten it from after your Christmas holiday. Note that rigid transforms, you can use rigid transforms to specify connections in with respect to the known point. As I already told you, if your origin is not correctly placed there, you can use rigid transform to define separate points, but so that you can use that separate points further in the mechanism, but that will make your life difficult. So regarding the midterm reports, so in the first midterm report, just try to model cylinder piston as well. So basically I'm talking about the mechanical cylinder piston, no hydraulic actuation there yet, such that you can actually have the entire mechanism there with all the joints and everything. All the joints, what joints needs to be used, it's you who need to decide that, so such that the overall degree of freedom of the mechanism remains 1 and there are no redundant constraints. More about redundant constraints, you can follow tutorial 2, tutorial 5, you can find the details there. I always go to Simscape Multibody. In Simscape Multibody, we go to Simscape Analysis. Let me see quickly if I can. So I always go to where is it? Sorry, yeah, Analysis, Simscape, and then this statics viewer. Since I have not defined anything over here yet, so I always see if there are any redundant constraints or not. I have already taught you that in the previous course, so my recommendation to you would be uh, do follow the previous, where is it? Do follow the previous course, the tutorials from them again if you haven't, and that would be good. So if I blocked anything in the meanwhile, you can have a look here. Yes, so that's all so far about all the instructions in order to model the mechanical components and their overall mechanism. About the reporting deadlines and evaluation, so there are 3 mid reports that needs to be submitted and 1 final report. So since there are 4 steps in modeling, so in all the reports we expect similar stuff. So in the first midterm report, mainly about project specification, CAD modeling, and the working mechanism in Simscape Multibody, you can mention about that. Then in the second midterm report, it can be about modeling of hydraulic actuators. Third mid report can be about modeling of flexible bodies and comparing your results with the results from the actual measurements. And the fourth and the final one can be modeling of the control system and the final report. uh, do remember that the structure of the report will follow IMRAD as in the previous course. So basically introduction, method, result, discussion and conclusion. So five sections, but you are free if you want to have more sections there. But as good writing practice, we always try to write everything in five sections. I will make the instructions regarding reporting available in Moodle, so do not worry about that. Regarding modeling of hydraulics, modeling of flexible structure, and the control system, we will cover that in the subsequent tutorials. And you can submit your report via Moodle. I will make the link available to you. And regarding grading, if your by the way your midterm reports will be graded as pass or fail, so do not worry over there. It is just to show your progress in the work, and things do not need to be finalized there. I will just see if you have done efforts there. I will grade you pass or fail accordingly. And if you submit your midterm report after the deadline, there will be a penalty of minus 0.5 0.5 points in the overall grade for the simulation. And for the final report will be graded from 0 to 5, counting all the late submissions. So even if you submit your final report and you get 5 out of 5, but you submitted all the midterm report as late, your grade will be 3.5 overall. But if you decide to even submit the final report late, and then your final grade will become half of what you will get from the grade, so what you will get from your grade. And as Professor Akimikola might have shown you in the slides, that the overall weightage of the simulation work is same as your examinations. So do take this course very seriously, and if you have any questions, you can simply write me an email, or you can wait for the tutorial meeting sessions that we conduct every week, and I will answer your question there. For people who are following me on YouTube, it is a very good idea if you post your questions in the comment section of this video, because lately I have been receiving a lot of emails on both my email address, and sometimes it's not very easy to uh, to reply to those questions in detail in my email because of other responsibilities. But I do try to check my YouTube comments in every week, and I try to answer everyone there. So it's a good idea to just post your comment on YouTube. And if this is your first time you're following this video, please follow the tutorial from the previous course entitled Simulation of a Mechatronic Machine. That will be a good start point for you in order to learn about Simscape Multibody, or in order to learn about uh, multibody system dynamics in general. Uh, Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you soon, or I will just wait for your comments in the comment section. Have a good day. Thank you.